Violence broke out yet again at a TPUSA event last night, this time at UC Berkeley, and less than 2 months after the loss of their leader, the government must make a RICO case against Antifa and take them all the way down. Let's get into it.
File police, I'm saying the people who are running the police have failed to stop left-wing violence. They've failed and failed and failed again. How much more of this are we going to see before we clamp down on it?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Casey. I've been a therapist, a dad, and a husband for more than a decade, and I have seen in individual appointments how we are losing our society along with the political winds that have been blowing throughout. And if you can get behind a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom in America, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into what happened at TPUSA last night. So the idea of Antifa gathered outside of the TPUSA event last night at UC Berkeley, and they threw bottles, they broke through barricades, they pushed through police barriers, and they caused general melee, including hurting several people. I suppose there were about 8 arrests, but I see about 80 that were possible, at least in the footage that we're about to watch. Watch this.
So you can see, if you're only listening, they're setting off flares, masked people screaming, upside down American flags. Sounds like gunshots going off. That's actually a car backfiring multiple times.
Apparently there was a Christian man who was beaten and bloodied, and then he was henceforth arrested because that's what you get in Southern California. Let's look into
Some
that.
more reporting out of this event is from Cam Higbee. A Christian man was there, and he was wearing a cross necklace, and he was attacked apparently by a Muslim, and the Muslim rips his cross off and is assaulting the man, repeatedly assaulting the man. The Christian reportedly doesn't even fight back. He gets really, really bloodied. You can see he's wearing a Charlie Kirk shirt, a red freedom shirt. And so what happens? Well, of course, the Christian gets arrested. Of course.
Campus police and the mainstream media will run cover that Antifa is yet still just an idea, and that this attack was performed by the ghosts of the idea of Antifa, I suppose. But in California, it just so happens that the police chief who is overseeing this police force has some ties to some other political incidences in which conservatives and people who are on the Republican side of the aisle have been blamed for things that were perhaps overblown.
How were they not prepared for this? Well, here's one answer. The current UC Berkeley chief of police is the former acting chief of police for Capitol Hill. This woman's name is Yogananda Pittman. Yogananda Pittman was the acting chief of police, Capitol Hill, on January 6th. The worst day in the history of the world.
We see yet again that the ideal that's being pushed forth on college campuses is to suppress speech that makes people uncomfortable, and we have raised into prominence a generation of people who have played the victim, who have utilized the oppressor-oppressed narrative to try to take away personal agency, and as has been detailed by Jonathan Haidt in his book, The Coddling of the American Mind, as well as his book, The Anxious Generation, we have simply put these young people into a position where they cannot reckon with ideas that they disagree with without using language like being triggered and other things like that. And that trigger, while we all dismissed it at some point in earlier parts of the polity, since I've been an adult, we dismissed it as, oh, well, when they get into the real world, they'll figure it out. Well, college isn't exactly the real world, but what they're doing has real world consequences, and that has been personified in the life and passing of the leader of TPUSA, Charlie Kirk. And so in conclusion, it is up to us to defeat Antifa for one, use political means to do that. I would call on anyone I could, including Vance's people, because they have been teams that I've interacted with because I'm here in Ohio. I would call on them to use whatever political means necessary to discourage Antifa by taking down the leadership. They do have meetings, they do have leaders, It might be atomized, but so is every other, Terry political entity. So it's up to us to use political means to tear them down, and then also use, in some ways, economic means to reinvent the ability of Gen Z to have the American dream in ways that would give them a bit of a foothold in the way forward. Because when I see the rise of people like Nick Fuentes, it quite frankly also rings true of like some of the left-wing ideals that everything, your agency's been robbed from you by these out external entities like, the people of Israel or several other causes. He'll pick any ethnicity or whatever, and even blame Republicans, blame conservatives. And so when all of your agency has been robbed from you, there is nothing to lose in this type of drastic action. The same type that elected Mamdani in New York is the same type that would get violent at UC Berkeley, and it's also the same type that would rally any oppressed group of people. And quite frankly, Gen Z and my children in Gen Alpha are economically disadvantaged in comparison to even my generation growing into the workforce. And with the proliferation of AI, that may even get worse. So it's up to us to try to encourage biblical principles, because I believe that framework has withstood the test of time. Apart from just believing that God and what he says in his word is true, that framework for morality and integrity has withstood the test of time. It's been better than any other system ever. And so we should push that forward, but also push forward economic and social opportunity for them to have a meaningful and purposeful existence with hope. Really, we're just absent hope now. And if you can support the reintegration of hope into an American context, I would love your help to do that. I'm just a therapist, Midwestern midwit, but I'm here for this, and I won't end my fight, because I have 4 children, 3 daughters who are coming into this system, and I want it to be full of grace and mercy for them, whether they want to become people who go to college or people who reside at home and have a quiet life in the Shire. If you can support that, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's do this together.